our snow. We're just moving around this little crap that we had the other day. But I'm going out to plow a spot that drifted in when we had a wind from the southeast yesterday. It's going from the north today, and that spot is normally protected by the river, so hopefully I can get that open, because it's, I guess, pretty deep on that road. Most of the roads are blowing clear, but this is one of them days. You know, that particular spot will work because, it's, like I say, it'll be protected, but then tomorrow the wind is going to switch from the south again, so it'll start moving back in. You know, in these kind of days, it's better really to just leave it sit and wait until it calms down and then go. But, you know, I heard the road is tough, so I'm going to try it. But I'll be happy if I get home tonight. Then it's supposed to drop down to about 30 below tonight. And then a day or two from now, it's supposed to be up to 35 above. So we got to fix the weather. But she's that cold, miserable one, and it don't look like it's going to get any better for a while. The thing about this stuff, you could be going along, and depending on what trees there are, all of a sudden it'll be just completely white, you won't be able to see a damn thing. Then all of a sudden you get a clear spot again. But it is, this ground drifting, it isn't really sticking. But it makes for tricky driving. Because you never know. I mean, you're going along and all of a sudden, boom, you cannot see a thing. I was reading in my last comments on the video on the one about my driveway. Somebody said that you haven't had enough snow to be out plowing. Well, problem is out here where I work is wide open tundra. And if you get 1 inch of snow and you get about 30 or 40 mile an hour wind, that snow is going to pile up. It's going to travel until it finds a place to pile. You know, it could be 3-4 feet deep. You know, so it's, and like now, visibility is, you know, near zero, about as near zero as you can get. But it piles up in odd places. You know, little, like one little bush or something can make a hell of a pile of snow. So it isn't really the depth of snow that matters out here. It's the wind. That's the big factor out in this open and plains. See, at home where I am, I'm back in the hills there, and I really don't have this problem with the drifting like this. A little bit on my driveway, but basically I'm pretty well sheltered. But you get out in this open tundra, you get drift and bad visibility. Now this is that area, see, the river is right where the tree line is, and that catches that north wind and stops it. So I'm hoping I can plow this open, you know, right here, just a little small drifts. But what happened is, you know, that's west, that's east. Well, the other day the wind was from the east, but then it really fills in on certain curves along this river road. So I'm going to open that up, and then hopefully the river will protect it enough from the north wind that this won't fill back in, because the school bus has been having trouble getting through here, and a lot of these people work in town, so they got to get in and out all the time. But there's certain curves that really fill in, and part of the problem is, I know the one curve that's supposed to be bad, it used to be protected by a shelter belt that ran to the east, and somebody bought that land, and these, you know, farmers now have the big machinery, so they tear out all them little shelter belts. Well, when they tore that out, ever since then, if I got a wind from the east or from the south, it'll fill in that corner. You know, and that's, them shelter belts are put there for a reason, but people don't remember that anymore, and they'll go ahead and see, like even here now we're running into snow, and I got ice underneath, so I better quit filming, start plowing. I should explain that if you're familiar with how sand dunes travel in a desert, it's exactly the same way that snow travels on the plains. You know, it's the classic horseshoe shape and moves along. And what happens, it'll move up onto the road. You know, once the ditches are all full, it's clear sailing. And if it's allowed to just be let alone, it'll travel off of the road. You know, and it just keeps moving on, you know. But what happens is a car will come along, and traffic is always a problem with blowing snow, because then it cuts that drift, and then instead of moving on, it starts building up. Like if you got a 6-inch drift, you drive through it, the wind will build that 6-inch drift up to like a foot, you know, and then the next car comes through, it just makes it higher and higher, it just builds. Whereas if it would have been left alone, it actually would have just traveled on. Now you can see in front of me there where my first pass, I cut the edge of the drift that was on the road. Well, now you can see it's already filled in, and that's only been like 15 minutes. You know, so it's a constant movement unless something interrupts it. Then it starts piling. And sometimes I'll come along and I'll find where the edges of the road are perfectly clear, but the snow is all piled right where people have been driving. It can pile real high, just right in the middle of the road. You know, the good thing today, now, I had heard that school was called off, which is great. They've got a bad habit of not using their storm days, trying to save the storm days up so that when the basketball tournaments come, then they have extra days to play with. But I'm glad to see they're actually using the storm day for a storm. Makes it easier for me if I don't have to deal with school buses. And plus there's, you know, big dual wheels cutting those drifts. Man, what a parker for today. I got that sheltered area done, but I had to give her up. The rest, the visibility is so bad out in the open, and even when I try to plow the roads, they just fill right back in. You know, so I'll just have to wait and see. The wind is supposed to drop around midnight, so tomorrow I'll have to go at her again. But I got the feeling I'm going to be busy for a while. I made it home, but my driveway's starting to get a little bit tough. I'm going to have to dig that out, but it's supposed to be warm weather these next days, and then I'll take the tractor. But until then, I'll just keep pushing her.